Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin. Wa radallahu an sahabati Rasulillahi ajma'in. My beloved brothers and sisters, once again, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, today we're going to speak about a concept which is probably the most used and at the same time probably the most abused. And that is the four-letter word love. You know, socially, people have tried to define what is it that makes the world go round. And people have come up with their own theories. And some people have said that it's wealth, money, that makes the world go round. But then again, there's a saying that money can't buy love. So you know what? I personally think that it's love that makes the world go round. When people look at things, they try to define them. And definitions are really important. So the question is, what is love and how have people tried to define love? Is love something that just occurs in the mind, i.e. a thought? Or is it something that you express with your tongue? Or is it a step further? Is it something that motivates you to give, to do, i.e. commitment? Or is love a human experience that touches the heart and makes you feel reborn? It's probably all of these things and a lot more. But the most important thing is, when you express love, do you feel it? When you express love, do others feel it? Feeling. That's a really powerful way of capturing it. Why? Because everything has a substantiation. And love too has a substantiation and it has signs. The Mashaykh tell us a story of a man whose claim of love was put to the test. So one day he's walking along and he sees this woman that he's being tempted to approach and propose to her. So she gets fed up and she eventually decides to put his claim of love to the test. So she stops and she says, "Why are you following me? What is the problem?" He says, "Because I want to marry you. I'm in love with you." And she says, "Why do you want to marry me when my sister over there is more beautiful than me? Look." So he looked and his claim of love, the true from the fake, was made evident. When we talk about love, there's three important things to remember, and these three things must be present. The first one is feeling. Second thing is the heart. And the third thing is commitment, i.e. willingness to put, or action. Let me try and illustrate that to you with a simple example. For example, if you are feeling thirsty, then what do? You take a glass or a cup and you fill it and you drink it. There are three things that are involved in this. Firstly is the need. You feel the need, you feel the thirst. Secondly is you going and taking that glass and filling it and drinking it. So there's an action involved in here, and that is an action of the limb. What is that limb? That is the hand. And thirdly, you taking that step, taking that action. Similarly, when you express love, there has to be feeling, because they say that if you feel it, then you probably mean it. And if you don't feel it, then you probably don't mean it. So there has to be feeling. Secondly, just like you took your hand and picked up that glass, that was an action of the limb. That was an action of the hand. Love is an action of a limb. Which limb is it? It is the heart. So the heart has to move, just like your hand moved to pick up that glass. Why is this important? This is important because when you say, "I love Allah," or you say, I love you, Ya Rasulullah, or you say to your spouse, I love you, or your children or your parents, I love you, what does that practically mean? Are those three things present for it to have an effect? When you say, I love Allah, or I love you, Ya Rasulullah, what does loving Allah mean practically? It means obedience. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the glorious Quran, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم قل إن كنتم تحبون الله فاتبعوني. That tell them, Ya Rasulullah, that when you say, when you claim that I love Allah, what should you do? فاتبعوني. Follow. Commitment, willingness to put in. You follow the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Similarly, when you say, I love you, Ya Rasulullah, what does that practically mean? It means commitment. It means following. And by the way, when you hear his name, you say, Sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam. Why? Because one of the signs of love is man ahabba shay'an fakad akthara dhikra. That when you love someone, you often mention them. And similarly, when you say to your spouse or your children or your parents that I love you, it means that you give them your time, you give them your affection, you give them their rights. Brothers and sisters, look around us. The world is suffering. We are suffering. Our relationships are suffering. We have to give love a chance. But sometimes it's actually that love that becomes part of the problem. How? When it's not actually sincere, when it's not from the heart, when there's no feeling and we're not willing to put into it. Give love a chance, because love is such a powerful concept that just by saying love, if it's genuine, you feel love, you feel the warmth, and it will have an effect if it contains those three things. Just like our bodies need food and water to survive, society needs love to survive. And love is so important that if you look at our religion, you look at every aspect of our relationships, there is love present. As if it's a sign to us that love is an essential ingredient of life. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the believers in the Quran, He mentions love. وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَشَّدُّ حُبًّا لِلَّهِ. That those who believe, they have a very strong love for Allah. When the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam talks about his relationship with us, he talks about love. When the religion talks about relationships in marriage, for example, one of the most prominent ingredients that is mentioned in the Quran is love. وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ مَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً. When we talk about relationships with parents, children, society, there is love. Love is everywhere. So I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us amongst those who have that genuine love and who give love to others. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to resolve all our problems and all our issues in our families, in our marriages, in our relationships through love. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive the whole ummah of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله وأتوب إليه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. And until next time, في أمان الله والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.